Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA video, we're going to be talking about what, in my opinion, is the biggest Grand Theft Auto 6 leak yet. So this has all been developing over the last couple of days, and it's really reached a high point today with the most interesting information so far. So a couple of days ago, this Twitter and Instagram account, SayCheeseDGTL, put out this tweet. They said Grand Theft Auto 6 will take place in South Florida, in parentheses, Vice City, nearby swamps, and cities, small islands. It will be set in 3 different eras. Cars and buildings will change over time. The map is bigger than GTA 5, and hurricanes could happen. And at the time of me recording this video, it has almost 6,000 retweets and nearly 15,000 likes. And that exact same page has an Instagram too, and they posted this. Exclusive. According to an anonymous Rockstar employee, Grand Theft Auto 6 will be in South Florida. Some missions will take place in New York City. Rockstar is focusing on making Miami weather as accurate as possible to the video game. GTA 6 will not be available on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And as of recording this video, that post nearly has 100,000 likes on Instagram. So needless to say, this post has absolutely blown up. I mean, it's almost gone viral at this point with the amount of eyeballs that have seen it. And a lot of people are starting to believe this as truth. And let's talk about it. The first is the location. The main location is going to be in Vice City. Now, we've seen this in the past with previous leaks, so this sort of confirms that that might be the case. But it also looks like it's going to be taking place in its surrounding areas. Swamps, nearby cities, small islands. This is kind of what we saw Rockstar do with GTA 5. Yes, the main setting was Los Santos, but it did feature other areas of San Andreas like deserts and forests. So it wouldn't be shocking to see Rockstar do that, and obviously build off of the very tiny map that they had in the original Vice City map. Now, the other interesting thing to me is that it will take place in 3 different eras. I wonder what those eras are going to be. Is it going to be 80s, 90s, and modern times? Is it going to be 90s, early 2000s, and slightly in the future? Who knows? But I do like the aspect of having different cars, the world changing over time, like the city of Miami expanding. The map is clearly going to be bigger than GTA 5. That's not a shock. Hurricanes could happen. That was one of the things that I found interesting. I just didn't think Rockstar would want to glorify like a natural disaster, something that's like pretty serious, especially for people that do live in Miami and South Florida that they have to deal with on a yearly basis. I mean, Vice City did mention hurricanes, but they were never like a huge part of the game that like the player had to avoid or navigate around. And the Instagram post mentions that some missions will take place in New York City. We've heard that in other leaks. And that it will not be available on PS4 and Xbox One. I think that's pretty obvious given the fact we know the PlayStation 5 is coming out next year. I think we can assume that Rockstar is just not going to put out a Grand Theft Auto game, at least a new one, on the PS4 and Xbox One. Now, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, okay, all of that sounds great. Well, how do we know that any of that is real or legitimate? Well, attached to the tweet and Instagram post, they actually had this document. Now, this is an edited version that sort of cleans it up a little bit and makes it easier to read. But at the very top, you can see there is a business card stapled to a document. That business card says Take-Two Interactive Software, Inc., and then something that's been blurred out. You can see comma LMGI, Location Manager Scout. And you can see the rest of it seems to be blurred out too. So it looks like this person working for Take-Two Interactive is a location scout manager for various video games. We've seen that in the past where Rockstar sends scouting teams out to the cities and areas where they're going to have a game so they can make it as accurate as possible. Now it goes on to say Rockstar Games, a video development company. They have a group of researchers and developers scheduled to come to Florida this October to scout locations for their video games. Their research crew will be here in South Florida between the dates of October 14th and the 18th. The Scouts team's mission is to tour and photograph various interesting locations throughout the state of Florida. The research they gather and photos they take on this scout will become part of the company's research library and will be used to inspire Rockstar's developers to build environments in their games that reflect real-life environments. We'd like to arrange to have Rockstar's team scout your property/business while they are here. As mentioned above, any photos taken during this scout will be used strictly for research purposes. Rockstar respects intellectual property rights and will not recreate protected artwork, sculptures/use employees' and customers' likeness, or recreate business interiors without an owner's express written permission to do so. This requested scout would involve a group of approximately 4 to 6 people and takes about 1 to 2 hours. The scout team is primarily interested in scouting interior spaces. For access to your property as outlined above, Rockstar is willing to pay an access fee. Rockstar asked that a standard release be signed by any locations that agree to allow their team to scout. I've attached that standard release to this letter for your review. If everything sounds okay and looks good, then please sign the release and send it back to me via email. Then our team will follow up with you in a couple weeks to arrange a day and time for the scout team to come by. Or if you have any questions, please feel free to call or email me. I'll be available at your convenience. We look forward to your response and the opportunity to scout your property, business with this crew. Thank you for your time, consideration, and support. The name has been blocked out, but it says Location Manager Scout LMGI. There's a phone number where we can see like the first 3 letters and then the last 2. Real Estates at bellsouth.net, Leah's IMBD. And it says, sent while filming on location, the Sunshine State, come join the fun. So how interesting is this? This seems to be a letter to various businesses in South Florida saying that Rockstar is going to be coming by and doing some scouting. How crazy is that? Now, again, this is not uncommon. We have seen Rockstar actually do this in the past. In fact, they did this with Grand Theft Auto 5, where they actually scouted Los Angeles and its surrounding areas so that they could get a better idea of the buildings and the streets and the areas so that it could match and that they could make that area as lifelike as possible. Now, what's interesting is people started to dig into who this actually was and when this actually happened. Well, according to this tweet right here from John Lux, who said, new episode of the Florida Film Podcast. Leah Sokolsky, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name correctly, talks about Team Masters 769, her time as Film Florida president and working on projects like Ballers, The Glades, Graceland, and There's Something About Mary, to name a few. So it looks like this podcast actually aired at the very end of January. And wouldn't you know that on this podcast, Leah reveals something interesting. Take a listen to this right here.
Recently, as you're aware, we've had a change in the types of productions that are coming to our state. So I've also been very fortunate to get a large client that has hired me to arrange basically site tours and visits. It's a digital media company, and I've signed an NDA, so I can't disclose who it is. But they've been exploring various areas of our state and of other states in the Southeast. And I've been planning and arranging those visits for their personnel, and that's been kind of a very interesting expansion of what I normally do as well.
Okay, so as you heard there in that podcast, she reveals that a company is coming to South Florida that she has signed an NDA with that's a little bit atypical for what they typically do, which would be like a video game, and they're going to be scouting various locations. Doesn't that sound exactly like the letter that was sent out? And doesn't that sound exactly like Rockstar Games? So this is pretty interesting. Leah, the location scout from the letter, is legit. Like, she's a real person. And she mentioned in that podcast working with a large detail media company with whom she signed an NDA. And it's also scouting for interiors, which explains why it might be done so late. That's one of the things that I was interested about too. Like, why would Rockstar be scouting right now? That would actually be a bad sign for GTA 6 because that's typically one of the first things done. However, if Rockstar is just scouting interiors, it might explain why it's being done so late. This could also be a really good sign for Grand Theft Auto 6, as this means there might be more interiors featured, something that was distinctly lacking from Grand Theft Auto 5 for whatever odd reason. So is Rockstar going to take the approach where almost every single building can be entered? That would be pretty awesome. And I'm hoping that all this research they're doing proves that that will be the case. And in case you guys are wondering when Rockstar did this for GTA 5, Rockstar were actually spotted scouting Hollywood in 2010, way before the announcement in 2011. Now, of course, until something is confirmed from Rockstar, you always have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but I think this is the biggest leak ever because it seems to be officially confirmed. The person who wrote the letter has an official position dealing with this. On multiple occasions, they've mentioned referring to Rockstar and dealing with them. Now, I don't know how the information we talked about in the beginning of this video relates to that document we saw, like how it will take place in 3 different eras, the map is going to be bigger. I don't know how they got that information, but clearly something is going on here. So as always, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated and posted if any new information comes about from this. But again, I believe this is the biggest leak we've seen so far regarding GTA 6. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What do you think of this? Are you believing it? Do you think it's real, or do you think it's fake for whatever reason? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did want to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new. You want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and Red Dead Redemption videos that I'm doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.